Mr. Brahmanand Mallik, Head of Supply Chain and Operations, India, BASF. Mr. Mallik is known for strengths in leadership, key account management, and logistics. He has built a solid track record in the chemicals and agriculture sector. He consistently drives operational efficiency, cross-functional collaboration, and strategic growth in diverse regional markets. Mr. Mallik's career spans across multiple leadership roles within BSF, including business planning, demand planning, and supply chain management positions. Today, Mr. Mallik will be speaking on resilient logistics, strategies for strengthening India's supply chain blueprint. We welcome Mr. Mallik. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shivani. And I am really thankful to all the organizers as well as the participants for providing me this platform and opportunity to talk about some of the topics which is related to building resilient supply chain and logistics in India. So let me share. I have a couple of slides, so let me share it and then I will start. Give me a second. So you can see the slide?
Yes, sir. It is clear.
Okay. So this resilience is nothing which is a new term for us, in supply chain, because we are built around, assessing the risk, challenges in the operations and how we want to overcome all these things. So it has been there in our gene, I would say, in supply chain organization. But recently, it has started, these disruptions have started impacting the organization in such a way that the leadership and management is taking greater notice of it. And, the frequency of these disruptions have become so high in the recent 4 to 5 years after COVID, that it has become an imperative for whole organization to look into this and address it strategically, not only from the perspective of just when the problem arises and you find the solutions. So basically that is important aspect, and that is why these are again important topics that we keep discussing within the companies and across different forums. Now let's see what is resilience from our perspective. So resilience is, in the simple term, I would say it's nothing but a kind of plan B or backup plan, or something which we can fall back upon if my main operation or main topics gets disturbed. So this is something which is important to bear in mind. And then if we want to build a system which helps us to be resilient and address some of the unknown disruptions that come into being, so then it is important to understand it holistically. So put the whole, my whole overall thoughts together. I have one slide which I wanted to share with you, and this is nothing, it's just a framework which I thought will be important for me to address this topic, and also put my thoughts together so that I can address it, and then we can interact based on that. So it's just a small framework. So what I call it something called resilient ecosystem. So when we are talking about the resilient ecosystem, sorry, now you can see resilient. So you can see my second slide, correct?
Yes, sir, we can see it. No
Okay,
problem,
thanks.
we can see it.
So what I call it as a resilient ecosystem, you can call it as a capabilities or something, but what I try to do here is that, some of the pointers which are important in general to build this system, to build the organization as a resilient organization. And depending on which area, which industry you operate, which are the dynamics, geopolitical topics, your overall value chain. So based on that, there could be many different points which can be added, or be important for you, or it may not be important for you. But these are the some of the pointers and lists which I thought that will be important if we want to build a resilient ecosystem. Now, for example, let's say procurement. When we are talking about the procurement, well, I mean, important things are that whether my procurement system, whether my procurement organization, or whether when I'm looking about the procurement, are we also looking about the sourcing? I mean, from not only from one source, but maybe from multiple or couple of sources. Are we also looking into the localization, where our overall procurement, the suppliers are based out of the same country, and you don't have to depend on importing several of the raw materials could be. So that is again something. And then if we have to look into all these aspects from procurement perspective, it is important to look at this strategic supplier partnership. Now, why I'm saying is that because all these aspects also builds on the overall cost structure. It impacts the cost. When we are having a margin squeeze, it is important that how we balance between these costs as well as these important topics. So for example, strategic supplier partnership. Suppose we have a two supplier for a particular raw materials, maybe in different geographies. You have to have the one might be the main one, another can be something which is backup, but then you cannot call the backup as somebody who you don't give orders to in general. So you have to also see that the backup also gets the order, and then there are relationship discussions on the different topics at a strategic level for those suppliers. So what is important is that how we build this strategic relationship for our critical materials. In operations, again, where my operations are, where my manufacturing sites are, whether my manufacturing sites are overall equipped to handle different utilities. For example, there could be utility like a gas, or whether it can be also from as an energy source, whether it can also be the coal fired energy source. So those are important aspects that we need to understand when we are looking into the manufacturing setup. Production line has to be flexible for at least for the products which we find it really critical. Do we have our own site, and can those materials be also manufactured at the contract manufacturing site? If at all we can have this consideration. I'm not saying that these all are something simple topic, but these are the topics which we need to consider it, look into this, and then say that, okay, it doesn't make sense or it makes sense. From a logistics perspective, there are lots of development happening in the country. So there are new ICDs being established. There are multimodal. There are industrial parks that are being established in India. And are we looking into this and actively, kind of evaluating all these developments that are happening, so that if my current, and maybe because of this, my current logistics setup, which is currently it is there, might change drastically in, say, a couple of years' time. So are we looking into all these aspects, not only from the cost perspective, but also from the perspective of bringing resilience? Because if there is one logistic model is not working, then maybe the backup logistics model can work. And when I'm saying backup, you have to keep it live backup, because it cannot be that backup will not work if you have not tested those logistics model earlier, and if you have not started using those logistics models. So that is again important, and it has to be consciously looked into. For example, inventory, what type of inventory you are keeping at what level, whether it is in the country or whether it is at the sourcing location, sourcing country, or in between the transit location. So, and in which form of this inventory that we have. From the regulatory perspective, again, it is very important because how we are monitoring, because these are some of the biggest disruptors that we have in the industry. So how we are monitoring these compliances, whether the tracking and monitoring is happening properly or not. For example, I mean, I can give you one example from the regulatory perspective in agro business, where you have to register each product. Suppose I'm importing, say, in 1,000 kg pack, so that gets registered. And if you want to change the pack size for import, if you are not registered, then it doesn't happen. And for registering those packs, again, it requires additional data, additional expenses. So when we are going for the registration of such products, are we looking into it that my resilience in supply chain gets addressed? For example, if my shipment is coming via ship rate, and then there is disruption, can I get as a backup plan, get the material by air? And if it has to be there, and particularly agrochemicals, if you see, there are hazardous goods, so there are certain packs only that can go with the air shipment. So if that is the case, then our material should, first thing is registration has to be there, and at the site there has to be also capability to pack those materials in alternate packaging type. So these are again important interlinked topics that are important when we talk about this building resilience ecosystem. Similarly, at what level of new product development or R&D supply chain gets invited, or supply chain inputs are taken into consideration? It's again a very important topic. Now, we can talk about all these things. We can say that, okay, these are the important topics, but what is important is that are we really looking into it from the perspective of building resilience? Geopolitical elasticity. In your critical material flow path, what are the key points where the disruptions can happen? Are we looking into, say, once in a year, or in our strategic planning, into some of these critical material flows, and where are the weak points, and what are the backup plans in case there are disruption in the material flow at any of the points? So these important topics are there, which starts building this ecosystem which is resilient, and consciously it has to be put there. As I said earlier, there are always, when we have the most effective plan, which remains the plan A, which is least cost, most efficient. When it comes to plan B, it is not always efficient. It can be a bit more costlier than the plan A. But are we seeing that this is important for us to build that plan B, which is workable plan B, test those plan B, and see that in case plan A is not working, I am able to revert to the plan B. So that is, again, you can add many things based on the industry that you operate in, based on the company that you have, based on the model that you operate in, based on the customer profile and everything. But these are some of the topics which are important from the supply chain perspective, which I think where we need to look into how we bring in resilience, where are our weak point and point of disruptions. Now, these ecosystem can be built on various tools which are available. So, and I don't have to mention all the things, but there are always, development happening in the digital world, and supply chain is one of the active user of all these disruptions, all these developments happening on the digital front. So, are we looking actively into it? Is it that I am, renewing my overall digital framework that I have, ensuring the visibilities are there, ensuring the decision points are put in the whole visibility digital framework where the decision has to be made. So these are again important top tools that we have at our disposal. Different audits. So for example, safety. Safety is how seriously we look into these safety topics, EHS topics, because these are again the point where from disruptions can come. It can come from internal lack in the overall organization on the safety culture. So this is again something which we really have to actively keep looking. There are different initiatives, as I said earlier, by the government. So we need to see that whether how can we make use of those interventions, initiatives that are happening and which are important from my company and industry. Of course, we have the various other management tools like financial management tools, which we can, overall take help of. So we have this build the ecosystem. We have the tool. Then what is important is that it has to be part of my whole process, because it cannot be just for the sake of discussions, and then we brainstorm, we discuss several topics, and we keep it on the files. It has to be part of. It has to be operationalized. With the proper topics properly integrated into the whole SOPs. Where are the decision triggers? Where are the roles and responsibilities involved? Even if I have a automatic, say, shipment done or route planning, are we seeing that if that route there are some disruptions automatically, or those alternate routes are given to us? Now, the point here I'm trying to talk about is that the decision making. Generally, in case of disruptions, you will see that decisions are getting centralized. You will see that it is always a tendency to take everything in your hand, in the management hand, or maybe I would call leadership hand. And even for a small topics, then the decision has to be made by somebody sitting on the top. Actually, in case of disruption, it has to be reversed, because the person on the ground has to make decisions which are in the best benefit of the company or the operation continuity, business continuity. So this is again something which is important aspects, and it has to be put in the whole process. The people handling this process has to be aware. They have to be aware of these topics and what are the trigger point for making certain decision. Where do we see that, yes, really, I have to get to the plan B, is again something that we need to look into. Now, we have all these things, but it all requires a big leadership support. Now, when I'm saying leadership support, as I said earlier, there are always challenges. There will always risk in the business. But now we are seeing that there are more emphasis being given to build these resilient systems. So support from the leadership is important, because it always has some cost built into it. It may be not very efficient, but it has to be where the leadership look into it. Suppose as I said, give example of pack size, where I'm generating data for registration. Can we also generate additional data for other packs, maybe airworthy pack? And then this might have additional cost. But management leadership has to say that, okay, no, this is important from my resilient system. So that is where it is important that you have the leadership support, and it has to be, driven from the top. Now, second important topic is that whether these topics, these systems, are we cascading down the whole organization or not? Are we empowering the organization or not to take those actions? How aware these, our team members are that, okay, these are something which are from the perspective of resilience, that these topics has been put in my work area, in my roles and responsibilities, and I am authorized, I am free to take these decisions in case I feel these are the issues. And at the top of it, at the era when we have the severe margin pressures across all the industries, it is really a cost of resilience. How do we balance? So we don't have to do it at a go. It has to be something which we do even at the incremental level. It is very important, because not that everything you will be able to do it quickly or maybe in a couple of years, but over the 5 years, over medium terms, are we able to bring in those elements in our company, in our whole operations, which are from the consciously thinking about the resilience, which are the strategically, when we put strategically the thoughts about the resilience, are we bringing those topics into our play or not? So these are again important topics which has to be put in. So I thought that from my experience, it is not some scientific framework or something, but it is something which I think is important when we are looking at the resilience in India or maybe overall in the organization. So thanks for your patient listening. So I think that's all from my side. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malik. It was a very interesting session. Some of the key aspects that I noticed from your talk was you were mentioning something about plan A, plan B. So definitely the time has come to put plan B into fast moving action and, make it a part of the work culture and see how do we take it forward. And then you mentioned that we definitely have tools, to improve the tracking, the visibility. So digital tools are there, financial management tools are there, but definitely the support of leadership and management decision making as a active part in the plan B and the resilience of the supply chain, that becomes a very important aspect. And safety culture that you were mentioning. So then I think definitely these are some aspects that the industry can look into, and Mr.